safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, good morning. There is the pom-pom attached to the end of a great male lion. This, everybody, is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Right, everybody. Well, that's a good start, isn't it? And 4 more in front of us, walking down the road. Byron is the other vehicle out so far, and Taylor will shortly be on walk. Senzor is on camera today. That is Senzor's, well, very elegant thumb. You are most welcome. You're the most important of what we do. And the most important thing that you can do this morning is to send us questions and comments. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do that. That's on Twitter. If you don't know how Twitter operates, I'm very sorry, but it's very easy to figure out. And I'm sure if you've got this far in your social media existence, you'll get that far too. So hashtag Safari Live. There he is. He's marking territory now. Chris Animal Mobile down Philemon's dip at the moment. There we go. What a wonderful start to the day. I'd had fears of it being another day of flowers, grasses and trees. Especially when we heard him calling as we got into camp this morning. And the reason I say that, of course, is because so often we hear them calling at night, and then we come out in the morning and they've crossed south or north. So we'll follow him for as long as we can. He's been shouting his head off, beautifully calling, and now all he's doing is marking his territory without sound but with scent. He's calling now. And you can't believe the distance that they can cover, walking at that sort of what looks like a gentle loping sort of stroll. But they will cross, if he carries on in this direction, he'll cross over the boundary in less than 10 minutes. I was rather hoping Wendy would just ease her way down the road, but because there's still a lot of moisture in the soil, there's quite a lot of mud. There's been a lot of activity on this road during the night, and he has actually come, he lay down here and scraped earlier today. It's almost like he's come up. Now he's turned around and gone back down the same route that he's come up, or that he came up earlier on. Yeah. He's now, of course, relieving himself, which will result in the world's foulest smell assailing our nostrils fairly soon. It's about, I believe, around about 20 degrees or so. I've forgotten the temperature exactly, but it's about 20 degrees Celsius as far as I remember, which puts us at about 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, 65 and 19. Yeah, Rebecca, you're right, I agree. You say that his belly looks kind of full and you wonder what he ate. I have no idea, but I would agree with you completely that he did eat something. His belly does look full. What can you smell, old fellow? And if you are maybe a new viewer and you've just come across this stream, this is a member of the Birmingham Boys. They are the dominant male coalition of lions of this area. They dominate 2 prides, the Sticks and the Nkuhumas, both of which have been conspicuous by their absence on account of the fact that their sort of dominant prey animal, the buffalo, has been away from this area during the course of the rainy season. And so we're expecting much more activity from them in the not too distant future. I'm just looking at the ground because It looks to me like a male leopard went up the road. And this lion is about 4 feet at the shoulder, so he's tall. He's not filled out quite to the extent that he's going to. He's going to get bigger. He'll probably be, he probably won't get any taller, but when he finally attains his full mass in maybe 2 years' time, close to 180 kilograms, which is about 400 pounds. And he's got a small sniffle. See, he just gave us a little bit of a look there. Now, Bonnie, you're in Australia, and you're wondering if lions have different calls. I'm assuming you mean from each other. And absolutely they do, Bonnie. They are recognizable to each other. Their individual calls are recognizable to each other. And certainly, they've done experiments where they will play the calls of certain lions to other lions, and they react totally differently to unfamiliar lions from the way that they would react to lions they're familiar with. So yes, they do recognize each other's calls and the calls of strangers. And of course he's hearing a whole suite of things that we are not picking up on. He has much more sensitive ears than our human ears, and I think he's listening probably for his coalition mates. Now, I'm going to avoid bashing in after him. We're going to try and pick him up the other side of this block, because we haven't really had a good look at him from the front. So while we do that, Baron is driving down over there. He's going to be very upset, of course, because he too was looking for the lion.
Good morning, everyone. I am indeed a little upset, but not really, because you get to see the lion anyway. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this morning is Batman, Craig. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do this morning now, because I was really looking forward to looking for that male lion. I thought we would have luck this morning, which we did. So James has found him. Wonderful. He walked right behind camp. We heard him calling from early this morning, about 3:30, 4 o'clock. He started. We could hear him calling and approaching, coming closer. And I think he may have had a drink at Gallagher Pad, from what I heard about 4 o'clock this morning, and then just moved down towards Philemon's Dip. So I'm glad James has found him and he can spend some time with him. We've been looking for these males, or any lions, for quite some time. Now, I just thought I caught a glimpse of something in here, but it moved off. I just caught a glimpse of an eye in there. I'm just going to have a look again. Hold on. Maybe there was something in here, and I'm not sure if it was perhaps a little genet that just moved off through the long grass and then looked back at us. I think that's possibly what it is. Alright, well, let's not keep you from that lion. Let's go see what it's up to with James.
He just took himself a little shortcut, and now he's on Ingwe Alley Road. Sorry, I'm just going to need to get onto the game drive radio. Animal is now mobile east along Ingwe Alley Road towards the Pans. I think he will cross the drainage there onto Twin Dams. And you hear the Franklins shouting at him. Depends where you are, Chris. If you're on Philemon's Dip now, come straight onto Ingwe Alley, and then you'll catch me there. There we go. Negative, north of the riverbed. It's a sort of skeleton road that was put in between Twin Dams and Philemon's Dip. Sorry, I'm just trying to help with Chris get here on the Game Drive channel. but my attention is now fully with you. And the lion, he's marking his territory frantically. Where he found all that water to drink, I don't know. Clearly he's got reserves. And as the Franklins are alarm calling to the right hand side, so are the rattling testiculars going to the left. It's almost a little bit like a sort of a fanfare, if you like, as the royalty of the wilderness comes wandering past. There he is there, maybe going to have a little drinky, or probably just bypass the pans actually. There he goes. And I think what he's going to do is probably head straight across, down through the drainage line and onto Twin Dams Road. I think Chris has managed to pick him up there. We're just going to try and get into a position where we can see him. There we go. That's not his best angle. Sorry everybody, I know. That's not the best lion angle you've ever had, and so I think I'm going to try and find a better position than this very unceremonious yoga pose. Let's head across to Taylor and say good morning to her.
Good morning, James, and good morning to everybody else that is watching Safari Live this morning. How exciting to start your way off with the King of Africa. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and of course, well, the extra pair of eyes and ears, Rexon, is on patrol with us. And, well, seen as though we're on bushwalk this morning, and you've already seen the animal, you've seen the lion. What we're going to do now is we're going to start looking at some evidence of this lion. And as James and Byron have both told you this morning, he's been calling, he's declaring his territory, or he's either calling, looking for his brothers, but what he has definitely been doing is he's been marking his territory, and we can see this quite clearly. Let's start a little bit back here. Now, remember how we always talk about how hard tracking is on very compact substrate? Well, here's a very good example. And if you look very, very carefully over here, look at this lion track. There it is, just to the left of my hand. You can see it's a big male. Male's track just by, of course, it's almost the size as my hand, and then if I pull my hand away, you'll see that it is wider than it is longer. So that's how we know it's a male. And what he's done, and we do this with the leopards as well, is he's come walking through here, and of course lions like to mark their territories, and as leopards do, up against shrubs. So of course right here next to us on the left, he's come through. You can see he's taken his next step here. He's taken a couple of steps where he's turned, and he's actually sprayed urine up against this tree. Now it's quite difficult to see on all the grass and the small little shrub because there's a lot of dew on the grass too, so I can't tell the difference between the dew and the urine this morning, but I won't be touching it because I don't feel like washing my hands and getting them too cold. But this is very fresh. He was only here maybe 15 minutes ago, so pretty cool. But let's keep on going. How exciting is this? I'm jealous. I'm very much envious of James this morning. We've all been absolutely desperate to try and find a lions today. It's been a long time since we've seen a lion, but, well, Byron is also out and about, as you've met him before, and he's found something that a lion might like to eat.
Well, lions do enjoy hunting kudu, Taylor, but this is a beautiful big male. There was a female in front of him that he was following. Not sure where she's moved off to. It's a really beautiful morning. It's a nice cool morning. Birds starting to call. Just heard a bearded woodpecker knocking on the tree in the distance. You can actually see that kudu has a bit of mud on his horns. They'll often do that when they are displaying territorially, or not quite for territorial but reasons, but mainly for dominance. Maybe if there's other males around, they shove their horns in the mud and shake it about, basically to build the thickness of the horn, and hopefully get a little bit of size to make the horns look bigger and thicker, so that if males do see them, they possibly think, well, maybe these kudu, or this kudu, is too big to challenge. It's always nice to see a beautiful kudu bull with those wonderful spiral horns. Octo girly, those horns are quite heavy. Now, I'm trying to think, they're probably, I mean, the horns alone are probably, I'd say, between 3 and 5 kilograms, maybe 3 kilograms, I think. You see, I have felt a kudu carcass before and lifted the head. Now the head is very heavy, but that's obviously with addition to the head, not just the horns. So I'm not entirely sure what each horn alone would weigh, but they're probably, actually maybe a bit less. I'd say the horns are probably 2 kilograms each, maybe around there. Let's call it between 2 and 4 kilograms. And there it disappears. Look how easily it blends in. Isn't that amazing? And now we are going to head down to Arathusa airstrip, have a look what's around there. Oh, excuse me, I was going to sneeze. Let's go and see Taylor with a beautiful sunrise.
This is the first sunrise I've seen in a very, very long time, and isn't it absolutely magnificent? Now, what could, of course, make the sunrise any better? Probably a lion roar, which we've actually just heard rumbling from the distance, coming from the north, which is very exciting. So it means that one of the other Birmingham boys, I'm sure it'll be a Birmingham boy, is responding to Mfumo's calls. So it could most likely one of his other brothers. My goodness, there's a horrendous fly that's attacking me so early in the morning. How rude. Anyways, so there's one calling down that way. We might actually do a loop around and see if we can't intercept them, because the normal route of one of the Birminghams is normally with the Nkuhumas, and the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment seems to be between the Manuleti, Buffelshoek, Simbambili, which is down west. So if they are coming from the north, coming back sort of south, they'll most likely cross right past the gate and then head west into Simbambili, which is very exciting. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And the wildebeest have returned to. They've come back to the open plains. Yesterday it was very, very quiet. There was 3 impala, but it seems as though the animals are coming back now. So our next move from here is going to be to come down, to slide down this termite mound. Sebastian, I was supposed to do that. I wasn't. I almost slipped. Almost. That was very close. But that's what happens, of course, when you wear shoes like this that do not... no balance today. That have got no grip on underneath them. They're not the greatest shoes to be walking up and down termite mounds on, of course. But hopefully our next view from here, as the the sunrise starts to fade, will be the wildebeest. Now, Shaylin, you're wondering how many vocal ranges does a lion have? Well, we hear them doing different types of calls. So, of course, they've got contact callings, which is a very sort of soft chuff that perhaps with James and Byron's very, very deep voice, they'll be able to demonstrate it a little bit better. And that's sort of close contact calling. So within a couple of hundred, maybe about 100 meters, I wouldn't say really too much more than that of each other. And then, of course, a big roar, like the Birmingham boys have been doing and tend to do at night time. That travels far. That can travel up to 8 kilometers in distance. Can you believe that? That's really far away. And that will be letting other lions, other big male lions know if they're planning on coming this way, they should be very careful So there's probably, I don't know how many, there's probably a lot more than we think. Remember, of course, a lot of animals are communicating via body language, so they don't even need to make a sound, or sounds that we can even hear. But speaking of lions, of course, let's go back across to James and Mr. Mfumo.
Well, we've just picked him up again. He's come across the drainage line and then he turned back sort of towards the west, which was unusual. He was calling here, that's how we found him again. And here he is. Actually, we saw a kudu running for its life as well, which obviously the lion wasn't particularly interested in. The kudu went off in here, didn't even bother to alarm call. And then Mfumo started making his call. I'm very good at doing a lion call. Here it goes. Are you ready? It goes like this. Good, eh? Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the lion. Sounds exactly like that. If you've never heard a lion call, that's what it sounds like. It obviously doesn't sound anything like that. But we'll wait for him to demonstrate it. Ahmed, you're wondering what if I had an alarm call, what would it sound like? I think it would sound like the standard issue human alarm call. It would sound like screaming. Ah! Lion! Ah! Ah! Lion! It would sound something like that. Fresh lion tracks on the road here. And you can see it's quite interesting there. We've just gone round the puddle, and around the puddle he has gone too. And so his tracks go down the road, and then suddenly if you only see them at the puddle, they're facing that way because he's wanting desperately not to get mud in between his toes. And so if you just came across those tracks and you hadn't seen the ones fore or aft, you'd think he would be headed off in there, and you'd probably wander off and spend ages looking around there. Go, Mike. Mike, I told you that you need to come to Weaver's Nest. Weaver's Nest. So he's heading straight south. Let me just turn the car off a bit, because I'm really hoping he's going to call again before he disappears to the south of us. Now, Sandy, a very good one from you about how long the scent lasts when animals mark their territory. Well, I can't smell his, so I don't know. But it lasts a while. They can pick it up on the bushes probably for weeks after it's been laid there, as long as there's no rain. Now, obviously, we've had quite a lot of rain of late, and that means their scent has been washed off. And so they often will patrol again, like he's doing now. We're just going to let Chris go in front, because he hasn't had much of a sighting. And then we'll follow behind him. Chris is guiding out of Djuma at the moment. So if you're wondering what that vehicle is doing, those are people on safari, which of course is what you are doing basically in a virtual way. We will try and catch up with him again, and so we're not behind the vehicle entirely. And as Megan, who is directing us today, says, as we play hopscotch, let's head across to Byron, who is currently apparently trying to escape via the air.
I'm not really trying to escape, James. I'm trying to take off. I thought perhaps the airstrip would be a good area to come and look for, who knows, anything. To be honest, I was secretly hoping that we would bump into a pack of wild dog running through the clearing. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. That's what I hoped for. I hear that. So the update I got was that James was playing hopscotch with the lion. I find that quite entertaining. Well, it is difficult to sometimes follow a lion if they're walking around. Now I think, because it sounds like that the male actually turned around and headed back in the direction that it came from. Is that a dove sitting up there? Just in that tree. It looks like a little dove. A laughing dove, perhaps. Cape turtle dove. Cape turtle dove or ring-neck dove. It's not a bad idea to stop and listen, because we might just hear alarm calls from something. I'm going to scan this area a little bit too. I want to look at that beautiful dove. And just see, I mean, wouldn't it be great to see a leopard walk out into the open, across this clearing? Well, Di, you say you heard a leopard calling around the dam cam about 5 hours ago. I wonder, yeah, I didn't hear that, so, but we were probably all fast asleep around that time. Well, we will keep an eye out, Di. We'll see if there are any tracks around. Taylor's walking in that area, so I'm sure her and Rexon could possibly find some tracks if there was a leopard around. Now we were chatting that lion. I think that lion is going to turn and head back north, because there was another lion calling further north, so perhaps those two might meet up later this morning. Anyway, let's go back to James and see where that lion is.
Right, he's about to cross to the south, I think. So I know this is not going to be the best picture in the world because we've got the vehicle in front of us. But let's just stay with him. He might call, and we don't want to waste too much time linking to and fro between the vehicles. We'll just get around this corner, and then we'll get a view of him. I'll see if I can't scoot off road. I can't do it here because unfortunately there are many bushes that the elephants have pushed into the way. It will be the one advantage of the Mara, of course, when we get there, is that there are so few trees there that the elephants cannot lay booby traps with anything like the efficiency that they do it here. Now he's going to head straight south, I think. I don't think he's going to turn north. And yes, absolutely, there is another one calling to the north, but he is clearly not particularly interested in it. Hello, Lael. As we were talking about earlier, you want to know if they're able to recognize each other's calls, or could they get confused? No, it's highly unlikely that they'll get confused. There have been many experiments done where they have played strange lion calls to lions like this. They immediately recognize strangers. So they'll recognize their own calls, the calls of their coalition mates. They'll also recognize almost immediately the calls of the prides in their territory. So they will recognize the call of the Nkuhuma lionesses. Whether they do that down to the individual, I suspect they probably can. And they will also recognize the call of the Styx lionesses. Righty, what we're going to do is now go around him, because, you know, as attractive as his bottom is, it's not his best side. So let's just scoot around here and we'll get a nice view. Whoa, hold on everybody. Oh, nice question, Donald. You say, what's the difference between a pride and a coalition? Well, a pride is the females and their youngsters. That is the pride, and contrary to what the Lion King would have you believe, the pride does not have a male in it. The males live in coalitions or on their own. There we go. There we go. They either live in coalitions or they live on their own, and those coalitions will dominate, you know, up to 3 or 4 prides sometimes. And this coalition of 4, the Birmingham Boys, dominates 2 prides. tell you, it's been so long since I've seen a lion. I've been trying to take photographs of this chap, despite the fact that the light is flat and fairly hopeless for that sort of thing. There he's calling. A kind of nondescript call. Isn't that lovely? He's just looking up at some other safari goers, wondering what they'd taste like. No, he's not really wondering what they'd taste like. And Chris, you're wondering if the brothers join up to hunt. No, you know, normally they don't. Normally they join up if there's a fight, but most of the time, you know, Chris, they don't do a huge amount of hunting. They will hunt, but they'll hunt alone. They'll hunt, often it's 2 and 2 together, you know, sort of patrolling the area, and if they have a hunting opportunity, then they will take it. But a male lion is, of course, the greatest scavenger out here. There is nothing more effective at scavenging than a male lion, and so they will steal from other lions, they'll steal from hyenas and wild dogs and leopards. Mostly, of course, they steal from lionesses. So although they're very effective hunters if they want to, they often don't do much hunting at all. Right, we'll get a view of him coming down through here, I hope. Watch out, everybody, watch your heads. And of course there's a lot of moisture all on the bushes, so you'll get wet. Hold on. Okay, now be quiet. He's going to come right past us. He's just going to come wandering past us over here, I hope. Sorry, there's a rather nasty bush in the way. Okay, apparently Byron has got something extremely exciting. Let's go to him.
I have indeed. Look at this, everyone. Look, we found a leopard. A beautiful male leopard walking through the area, and we took a chance. We just heard some impala alarm calling briefly. There was a lot of ratting going on too, so we weren't sure exactly, but it did sound like alarm calls. We just drove off into the bush, and we've managed to find this beautiful male leopard. Let's follow him and see where he goes. I'm so excited because I haven't seen a leopard for quite some time, and to find a male like this is wonderful. So that's great. This is really exciting, and I still, when you find a leopard like this, or you listen to the bush and you listen to the sounds of the other animals, the alarm calls, and you find a predator, it is so rewarding. Now, I'm actually not sure where he is heading at the moment, but it just shows you, you know, I would have thought in conditions like this leopard would probably prefer walking on the road where it's not so wet, but I think perhaps because of the alarm calls, the impala alarm calls, the guinea fowl alarm calling behind us now. He is heading towards the main road, so we might lose him. But he looks like he's scent marking. I'm going to try to stick with him. So I think stay with us, because I'm not sure how long we're going to have this leopard for. You see, it is heading down towards the road now. And I'm hoping we can get through here. This is not looking very good, Craig, is it? What do we say? I don't know. Hang on. Can we get through here? Oh, sorry. No, I don't think we can. I don't think I can get through there, everyone, unfortunately. It looks a little bit too steep, but hold on, let's see, back here. The joys of trying to follow a leopard. There he is, in the road. And I'll get down here easily. Look at that. Oh, beautiful big male. Hold on. That's very kind of him to make his way right out into the road. We're going to get a lovely view of him now before he crosses, hopefully. Here we go. Oh, that's beautiful. There we go. Watch, he might jump up into the tree. There we go. See, this, everyone, is definitely not Hosana. This is a big male leopard. This looks like it's possibly Tingana. Now, if he walks back this way, I'm just going to reverse. Let me just reverse slightly here, because it looks like he might want to come back this way. Let's see if he does. Try and move out his way. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to move a little bit further back. Watch. So what I've done is just given him some space so that hopefully he will decide to move past us. Here we go, here he comes. This is definitely not Hosana. You can see that very big dewlap. This is an old male leopard. And scent marking, territorial male leopard. Now, I don't think this is Tingana, to be honest. I don't know. Oh, don't go that way. Please come back this way. Okay, Louise has seen him and says it's definitely Tingana. So that would make sense. Well, I suppose it does make sense, judging where we are. So our plan to just scan around the airstrip worked, and as I said, wouldn't it be wonderful to see a male leopard? We managed to find him. Now, unfortunately, that's crossed into Little Gowrie or Hoffman's, I think. It's one of those two properties. So we can't go there, unfortunately. But let's just hang around. Maybe he turns and comes back this way again. However, it looks as if he is. I'm going to see if I can't see if he does come back again. I'm going to stick around there for a little bit, but let's head to Taylor and see how her walk is going.
Look how cool this is. Now, obviously everything's very exciting this morning. Spotted cats, big lions, all sorts of things. But, well, Sebastian, myself and Rexon have found something quite interesting. And you can see it is a ball of grass that has most certainly come out of some animal's mouth. And how I know what animal it's come out of is because of these footprints just down over here. Now, very difficult to see them, but there's a toe. There's another toe. There is another toe. And there is another toe over here, which means, and a big pad at the back, put my hand right in the middle, you can see how much larger it is than my hand. That is from a hippopotamus. So should we take a look at this grass? I actually think I'm going to sit down for this one. But how cool is this? So what I think has happened here is this hippo was obviously munching away and probably stopped to have a bit of a graze, and then as he was walking, chewing, and maybe there was something in here that it didn't quite like, but you can see it's in a, I'm actually going to touch it and I'll wash my hands after. It's in a complete round ball, so it's been tossed around in its mouth a few times. But how cool is that? Something mustn't have been great, or it just fell out of its mouth. That's another case too. But I've never come across something like this before, so I want to open it and see if there's anything in here that made it not taste so nice. Every now and then, see, we have seen it with elephants, is that an elephant will eat a frog or something like that, and you can clearly see they use their trunks to pull vegetation out of their mouth that they didn't quite like so much, and I'm sure hippos will do the same thing, but they don't have trunks, so they just sort of have to drop it out. It doesn't look like there's anything interesting in here, really just grass, all chewed up, not all of it chewed up finely. I think this is if you look at my hand, this is the most fine chewed pieces from this sort of regurgitated grass. How cool is that? Very nice to find something so different. Now, of course, we have to be very careful because these hippo tracks are exceptionally fresh. I mean, to dust ourselves off. Lots of drainage lines. All the mud wallows have now filled up, so there could really be a hippo anywhere. They don't need to just go to the big dams anymore. we're going to have our wits about us. Now, we can still hear another male lion calling in the distance. He does sound like he's moving further and further away, unfortunately, not coming closer like we'd like him to. There goes my earpiece. The story of my life. Let me put that back in. It sounds like he's in Buffelshoek. We thought we were going to get lucky for a moment and intercept him. So our plan was, we've changed it. Instead of going back along quarantine, we walked across the dam wall and we were going to go up Gari Cutline. And I think we're still going to follow this route and then work our way back around that side. And you never know what we could bump into, because at one point, very early this morning or late last night, there were most certainly 2 big male lions on the property. We had both sets of tracks just down here, sort of just before the dam, and very exciting. We know one of them is Mfumo, but who is the second one calling in the distance? Now, if I had to put any money on it, I'd guess that it's going to be Tinyo. Tinyo hangs around in that area. He likes Buffelshoek, he likes the Manuleti, he likes the Nkuhumas. I think all the lions like the Nkuhumas, but most likely him, and the 2 of them have got quite a close relationship. Out of the Birmingham boys, we tend to see those 2 together quite often, whereas Nsuku is on his own, often with the Sticks Pride, and Nena is a complete opposite. He sort of just moves amongst everywhere really, and does spend a little bit of time. We have seen him spending a bit of time with Tinyo and Mfumo. So very, very cool to see. Of course, like I said, I'm so jealous. I wish I could also see a beautiful big male lion, but at least I'm able to still listen to them throughout the morning. Now, of course, Byron is trying his absolute best to relocate on Mr. T. Let's go and see how he's doing.
Well, unfortunately, it did cross our boundary, this beautiful big male leopard that we found. Now, I'm just listening. Now, what I've heard is there are guinea fowl alarm calling just in that direction, not too far from us. They're in there. They almost certainly see that leopard. Okay, so he's up in the back there towards those dead trees at the back of the screen. I think he's around there somewhere. There, you see the guinea fowl in the tree? There we go. That's actually a perfect sign that leopard is around there. The guinea fowl will jump up into a tree, fly into a tree, and alarm call. Now, he's still hanging around there, and I just saw some impala further down on the road up ahead. So perhaps this leopard goes across, tries to hunt. Let's see, there the impala in the distance. I'm just listening, trying to see if we can find this leopard again. This is very exciting. Very brief view of him, but a lovely view of that male, especially when he was in the road, turned and faced us. Really exciting. So sometimes things just happen for you. So, Shaylin, you wanted to know how fast a leopard can run compared to a lion. So their charging speed, actually I'm just going to switch off and listen for a second. The charging speed of a leopard and lion is very similar, very, very close, the speed. The leopard is slightly quicker than a lion. So a charging speed would be a 20 or 30 meter little sprint, a short sprint. A long distance, they don't really run or top speeds for long distances, lions and leopards, but they can cover about 20 to 22 meters per second. That's how fast a leopard and lion is generally, but a leopard is slightly quicker, probably by a meter or 2 meters a second quicker than a lion. So they are very, very quick. That means they can run 100 meters if they were compared to a sprinter. If they were going to run a 100-meter sprint, they'd probably do it in 4 or 5 seconds, which is amazing. Just listening, there's still a guinea fowl alarm calling here. This leopard is in here somewhere. We just need him to come back across to this side. Okay, let's go up ahead and have a look, and we'll see if we can get another view of him. Maybe because he was heading down in this direction, I'm assuming he may have smelt or seen the impala up ahead, and that's why he turned, came back and decided to go through the thicket. Alright, well, it sounds like James is still on a search for lions. Another lion, perhaps. Let's go and find out how it's going.
To the left. We're just trying to have a look there at a beautiful web. And there is much gossamer web around the place. And yes, we are sort of trying to look for lions. All I heard was lions calling, so I turned the car off, but they're miles away from anywhere near where we are. So I thought we'd stop and look at something smaller and consider the fact that we've had a very lucky morning, all things considered. Beautiful male lion, beautiful male leopard, and with any luck, we'll have some further cat luck as the day progresses. I think it's very hopeful that Byron's got some alarm calls round where he is, maybe Shadows knocking about there with her little one. Who knows? I think that's just very pretty, and as the light comes out, these sort of trails of gossamer are all over the bush, and you start to get an idea of how many spiders there are all over the place. There is I think it's a, what are they called? It's a funnel web spider. What's it called? Just look on the ground here. Look at that amazingly, it is a funnel web, intricate carpet, if you like, of silk. And I will tell you that the spiders, I mean, I know we've spoken a lot about it of late, but there are many of them setting up residence around where we keep the cars. And unfortunately, they're not of the sort of harmless variety you're looking at now. They are almost universally the brown and black widow spiders. And so we have to be fairly careful when we sit down. We found a brown widow and her egg sacs inside the plug point where we plugged the cars into charge this morning. So that wasn't very nice. Look at that. I mean, if you were to take the combined mass of silk in this area, I think it would weigh quite an astonishing amount. Anyway, that lion went south. If you're wondering why we're not with him, he was just near the boundary when quickly we had to go across to the leopard, and so we were not going to be able to spend any more time with him really other than a last glimpse, and so it was better to go back to the leopard. He went straight across the boundary there. We had another view of him for about 3.5 seconds, and then he disappeared. So unfortunately that's going to be it for the lions, but at least we did see him. So often in the recent past we've heard them calling around the camp exactly where they have been, and of course then what they do is they just disappear over the boundary before we can go live. So we're going to continue enjoying the spiders, and while we do that, Taylor apparently is sharing a similar thought.
Did James just call me Tyler? Did I hear that correctly? What have we got there? Can you see the Inyala? Oh, there they are. No, I think it was Megan that repeated Tyler. What we've got, however, we'll redeem yourself later, Megan, but we've got some Inyala just standing off in the distance in the drainage line. We're on Gari Cut Line at the moment, the once favoured spot of the Nkuhumas. They used to live here, but something that we are surrounded by, because the Inyala are very, very sort of difficult to see as they start disappearing down into the thicket. I can hear lots and lots of southern ground hornbills calling this morning. You also may hear my hand connecting with my legs, because the flies are back in full force today. I really, unfortunately, spoke too soon and said that the flies are going to start disappearing. They have not. They have come back after the rain, so a guarri bush will be needed. But we've got a lot of things going on this morning. We've got the hornbills calling in the distance. They might be a little bit too far away for you to hear. We've got the Inyala down in the drainage. I can every now and then see a couple of hornbills fluttering around. And in this very, very big jackalberry just in front of us, and we see a lot of these jackalberry trees growing right on the banks of rivers or drainage systems. There's actually an entire troop of vervet monkeys sitting right up on the tops of the leaves. Oh, there's one there. Now, it's quite difficult to, of course, spot them, because they also camouflage very, very well. They blend into the branches so easily. And they're up there. They probably would have rested in this tree. It's a great tree. It provides a lot of shelter. Nice big branches to make sure that you don't fall off of them at night. and they've reached the tops of the trees now, I think in hope that the sun is going to break through those clouds so that they can start warming themselves. There's been quite a bit of dew, so if any of them drop down to the ground, they'd have wet fur now, and I can tell you right now, there's not one animal out here that likes wet fur, and perhaps unless you're an otter, but other than that, everything prefers to be nice and dry. But like I said, it's so hard to spot them purely because they're sitting on the tips of the edges of the branches, just trying to warm their bellies up. But as we shuffle around, we might see a little bit of movement here and there, but how cool is that? And monkeys are great to have around, and I'm so glad that we managed to spot them, or Rexon managed to spot them, because now we know that they're up there. So if we hear any alarm calls coming from vervet monkeys, we know where to come. And of course, they've got great eyesight. We were chatting about this yesterday on the Sunset Safari when we were looking for Tingana. And, well, we weren't lucky in finding him. And yes, they're great to have around because they'll alert everything. We did actually find Tingana's tracks, so I don't know what his route was, or where we missed him last night, or if we were just a little bit too early and he hadn't quite woken up yet. But he, in fact, ended up coming along Central and going down towards sort of Mvubu Road, so you might have not seen him on the dam cam last night, and I think he would have slunk past behind Gallagher Camp and then going straight, sort of doing a southwesterly turn going onto Arathusa. So he's definitely doing a territorial patrol. So the animals were busy. The hyenas were also whooping quite a bit last night. I would love to have been out here at 2 o'clock in the morning to actually see what on earth was actually going on that got everybody all riled up. But for now, it's got very quiet. Everything is starting to settle down as the sun is starting to wake up. I can hear lots of oxpeckers moving around, but I don't think that they're sitting on an animal. I think that they've just woken up themselves and come out of their little hole nest from a dead tree and are perhaps now, they're going right over the top of us. That's very cool. They're obviously off now, starting their morning search, looking for their next target. An elephant, not an elephant really, a buffalo, a kudu, an impala, something along those lines. But Byron is actually listening to some alarm calls, and I'm sure you'd like to listen to them too.
Listen to these impala, everyone. So these are the impala I saw earlier. Yes, where is the leopard, everyone? I'm looking with you, but I can't see it. Very loud alarm calls. He's got to be somewhere here. I've been very patient, just waiting. Hang on a second. Craig, let's check down the road here quickly again. Guinea fowl. Are the impala alarm calling at the guinea fowl? It's unlikely. I'm not sure if they possibly smell this leopard. What's causing him to alarm call? Did he cross the road? I don't think so, because if he did, these guinea fowl would have alarm called at him. Now, we heard them earlier alarm calling at the leopard, and I think, unfortunately, he has he's crossed over and he's headed just further east of us, and unfortunately we cannot go there and look for him. They definitely alarm calling at something, but I think I don't know where he's gone. Unfortunately, it's so thick through here anyway, we can't see. I mean, it was lovely to get a view of him, and I'm glad we did. Our timing was perfect, but he's disappeared off across our boundary, unfortunately. But still nice to see him. Wasn't that exciting? I'm still very excited because it was so great to drive along the airstrip, speak about it, hear impala alarm calling. We literally just drove off into the bush towards the impala. We saw one or two run past us through the long grass, and we bumped into this male leopard. So that was very, very exciting. Even Craig gave me a huge compliment. He was like, "That's okay." And Gail, no, these impala won't be alarm calling at us. They're used to us, and I've been sitting there for quite some time. They weren't alarm calling at us at all. I think they possibly picked up on the scent of the leopard, perhaps. You know what? Let's just have one more check back there. Let's just double look. All right, now James has a bird he'd like to show you. Let's see what it is.
It's a babbler. And I'm rather astounded we've managed to actually show it to you because... Oh, excuse me. Because they very seldom sit still like this, but this one is caught in the most beautiful light. Oh, don't go away. They're on top of the tree there. And the best part of them is that they're all covered in water, and so they're all sort of shaking the water out of them. They look dishevelled and a bit sort of sad. And then I always like to look around the babblers at this time of the year. Oh, there. Go up. You see the one that just flew there? Yeah, up top, up there. In the middle. Zooms there. Up. Yeah, look. That's not a babbler. What is that, everybody? I thought I saw that as it flew off. It thinks it's a babbler. The babblers think it's a babbler, but it ain't a babbler. Oh, that's very cool. Have a guess. What do you think that was? Thinking it was a babbler, but isn't a babbler. And I'll try and find a picture of it. Oh, I think that's such fun. Any ideas, everybody? Any ideas what has conned the babblers? Cruelly insinuated itself on their lives? I don't think I've seen that particular species. That is a babbler. We're still looking at a babbler there. The offending bird is behind the main branch there. Right, and John in Colorado, absolutely bang on. It's a cuckoo. So that cuckoo was born into the babbler flock during the course of the summertime. And it's often what happens is that when the adult cuckoos leave, the young cuckoos will spend their first winter in the same domain that they were born. And then they'll start migrating next year. And so I was just saying, as that thing flew up out of the grass, I said, I really enjoy looking at birds around this time of the year, because so often you will find in a babbler flock a cuckoo. Now, normally, you would expect to find the Lavalliance cuckoo with them, but that was not a Lavalliance cuckoo, I don't think. There it is, the striped or Lavalliance cuckoo, and they parasitize babblers. Now, I think that was a great spotted cuckoo or a standard issue African cuckoo. Let's just have a look here. African cuckoo is supposed to only be... sorry, don't go to the text there, Senzel. The African cuckoo is supposed to only parasitize the fork-tailed drongo. That definitely wasn't a fork-tailed drongo flock. So let's go across. The other thing it could have been was a young thick-billed cuckoo, not a thick-billed cuckoo, young great spotted cuckoo. And they normally parasitize crows and starlings. But it could still be one of those, because I have seen plenty of great spotted cuckoos in this area. So I'm going to go with juvenile great spotted cuckoo. I'm also just going to consult my bird app a little bit later, and because that's got a bit more detail in it. Wasn't that cool? Alright, so I do a little bit more investigation here. Taylor has found what I have found, what Byron has found, and what everyone has found over the last few weeks.
Thank you, James. I'm just jumping onto that train now. I'm a little bit behind, but I'm catching up nonetheless. We've got the most beautiful scene in the lovely long wet grass this morning. It is a spider. And I'm not certain as to what spider it is just yet. It looks very much like a wolf spider, but I don't think wolf spiders make webs, as far as I'm aware. I thought they actively caught this prey, and because of its funnel shape that it is sitting in at the moment, most likely a female spider, because it's actually quite a big one. I'm not sure, it could be one of the funnel webs, but I don't think I've come across this beautiful species before. So if you wouldn't mind, please could you take a couple of screenshots of this beautiful spider sitting in its web that's covered with lots and lots of dew on it, so that I can identify it later. Hashtag Safari Live, of course, with your screenshots. And if you have any questions for us on Twitter, that is the only way, of course, to get hold of us. But how stunning is this? And the dew is just so beautiful. I had to actually stand up so I can take a view of the entire web. It is amazing, and that's what's one of the wonderful things that we're going to start seeing is with the cooler mornings, of course, all the condensation that is forming and all these beautiful dew droplets, not just on the grass and on the leaves, but of course covering the spider webs. And we've seen many of them this morning that covered in webs, but I think so far it's a toss-up between the tropical tent web spider we had, but it was just a bit too dark still to show you, but we'll look for one, or this beautiful, some form of a funnel web spider. I think it can only be. But it's actually got a massive web for the size of the spider all over the grass. Ah, there we go. So quite a few of you, Siberia Zumi and a couple of others, also saying that it could be one of the funnel web spiders. Fantastic. That's great. It'll be interesting to try and figure out exactly which funnel web it is, because I'm sure there's a couple of different species. So thank you for that. I'll keep on searching when we get home and I have a look at my spider book. I'll see if I can find it. But I'm really impressed as to how big the web actually is and woven all around the grass. Now, most of the time, the funnel web spiders that I've always seen have constructed their webs a little bit, they sort of concealed them a little bit better, actually hidden them amongst the grass. And one of the reasons why we're seeing this one, of course, is because it has got the dew on it. So I think if it later in the day, if we came back here and we had a look at the same web, it would probably be a bit more difficult to see. But it's not sort of tucked away in the grass like they typically are. It's the most impressive funnel web nest or web I've ever seen. So I hope you got lots and lots of screenshots of it, but it is just spectacular, this web. Look at that. It's huge. Actually, I'm going to come and put my hand quite next to it. Again, I'm going to use my hand as a scale. Hopefully I don't scare the spider. But look how massive it is. Even going all the way up here. Oh. Now, dear watcher, you're wondering if the spider could just be in a different spider's web. That possibly. However, I don't think that it is, though. I think that this is indeed this funnel web spider's nest. It's just constructed it really beautifully for us. The only time you'll see other spiders and other webs is if they're kleptoparasites, so if they sort of rely on stealing food or leftover debris from other spiders. So like the dewdrop spiders, you normally see living in the orb web spider nest. It's quite normal to see that. And then, well, jumping spiders will eat other spiders. Most spiders are cannibalists, so they will feed on other spiders, no problem. So I could imagine a jumping spider you could find lurking quite close to another spider's web. But you can see the spider sitting in the middle, and to me that sort of just says, this is mine, not hanging on the outskirts like it shouldn't be here. Right in the center of the web going, this is my home, waiting for something to, of course, land on the edges of the web. And from the angle that she's sitting, she can either run very quickly to the right, to the left, up, down, you name it, and eventually catch whatever gets stuck in her web. And I can imagine here she must be feeding on quite a few different species of grasshoppers, firstly, and even butterflies, because at the moment that's what we're seeing a lot of just in the grasses. Remember all those acrias that were dying? They would make for a very easy meal for a spider. They would get stuck in that web, and I don't think that they would be able to flap themselves free. Now I need to look on the ground. Aha! Because I finally got myself guarri bush, because the flies are still biting me, so I shall swat them now. Well, they have no chance, and it's amazing the power of a guarri branch, which is quite cool. It's like you only have to swat yourself a couple of times, and then the flies are gone. They don't come back again. But we've had a spider and its beautiful dew-covered web. Byron has now got one, and I wonder what it is.
Now, this Taylor is another spider web covered in dew at the moment, and I'm actually just going to jump out. This is a tropical tent web spider. I've got these beautiful spider webs, and also covered in dew at the moment. Now I wonder if I can try to show you. I can see the spider. It's inside there. It's not a very big spider. You can actually see there's a bit of whiteness just in at the bottom, where it's obviously some food that it's been feeding on, and the spider's just below it. So there's the tropical tent web spider, but it really is beautiful. All the little dewdrops all over this little web. I wonder if that spider will move. Don't want to disturb him, just wanted to try and get a better view of it. But that is the tropical tent web spider, this almost upside down funnel shaped spider web. Very, very beautiful. But it is lovely to see these little creatures, these little spiders, especially now in this time of the morning with all this dew settling on the spider webs. It's really beautiful, very beautiful. All we need is for the sun to come through, and you really get lovely images of those spider webs. Alright. Well, what now, Craig? I mean, you've been spoilt this morning. You got to see a male leopard. Michael, you asked, what is the biggest spider in Africa? Now, Michael, I would have to guess. I think it must be a baboon spider. A baboon spider, one of the species of baboon spiders. I'm almost certain that must be the biggest in terms of body and size. I'm not too sure which one, Michael. Maybe someone can help us out with that. I wonder if James or Taylor knows. But I would say it must be one of the baboon spiders. That's basically Africa's tarantula, is the baboon spider. And they get the name baboon spider because their legs, the underneath, James says maybe a rain spider. Yeah, I suppose those rain spiders do get quite big, but I wonder overall if the baboon spider is the body in that. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll try to find out for you. But the baboon spiders get their name because the legs and the last two segments of each leg underneath look like baboon fingers, and that's how they get the name baboon spiders. But they are quite big, bulky spiders, I think, in certain areas. Siberia Zumi asked if the tropical tent web spider is a community spider. No, it's not. The community nest spider is that very thick cluster of webbing and a number of little spiders that sit on it. I don't believe that this is the same one. Sorry, got some bumps here. I don't believe it's the same species, not at all. And also the spider web that we just saw, the tropical tent web spider, there weren't any other spiders on there. It was just the one. You might get these kleptoparasites, the little dewdrop spiders, or mercury spiders. They look like little dewdrops hanging on the tiny little spiders hanging on the edge of other spider webs, and they'll try and steal some food from the larger spiders. Yes. So that makes sense to me. Siberia Zumi, thank you for that. You say you think the rain spider has the longest legs, which does make sense. I've seen a number of rain spiders. They do have very long legs, so I think some of them can get to about that size. I think with their legs spread out. But in terms of body size, apparently the baboon spider probably has the largest body. So I think maybe in terms of weight, most likely a baboon spider. In terms of overall length and size, I think the rain spider, perhaps. So it depends how you want to measure size. Is it by weight or by the surface area covered? Well, I'm still very excited about that leopard sighting. So I wonder, hopefully that leopard decides to do a big loop marking territory and comes back towards this area. This is Djuma off to our left. So it just shows you I was right down in the south. I was on Arathusa when we found that leopard, and then he was very close to the boundary, and he decided just to walk directly east. And then this section of property, I believe, is known as Hoffman's, which is private land. We don't traverse over there. And then it becomes Little Gowrie further down. Alright, well, we'll see what else we can find. We're going to head towards some of the dams and maybe see what birding we can do today. James has got something that's not going to move away too quickly. Let's go have a look what it is.
Well, it's moving with surprising speed. It is, of course, the Speke's hinged tortoise, and it's walking gently down the road towards the Chitwa Dam. There it goes. Will it turn right? Will it turn left? These are the questions we must ask ourselves on days like this, when the tortoise comes to the fork in the road. Now, we are not going to move from here because our signal is very poor, but we'll just enjoy the sights and sounds of Chitwa at the moment. They're impala, alarm caller. Well, not alarming, they're fighting with each other behind us. There's a little group of francolins coming up to meet the tortoise at the fork in the road. Clearly, it's a popular meeting spot. There they are. They're taking what for them is the left-hand fork, of course. Oh, one of them coming up north. There's just life everywhere, especially after the wet time that we've had. And now, as it seems to be clearing and warming, it's a beautiful, still morning. So the animals are coming out to play. It's almost at the turn. You know, there are very few animals that look awkward when they move, I find. You know, they've all been designed to move in a certain way, and therefore if they're in their natural habitat, they will move beautifully. So, well, yes, a seal looks completely ridiculous on land, but it wasn't designed to move on land hugely. It was designed to move in water, where it moves very beautifully. A tortoise is an exception to that rule, I find. They were, of course, designed to move on the land, which is what that thing's doing, and yet every step looks awkward, slightly painful, and almost like the limbs that it has have just simply not been designed for what they're being put to do. And it looks exhausting. It looks like sort of walking along with an enormous wardrobe on your back, on all fours. And that's, I imagine, how a human being would walk, with kind of these laboured steps. And here, idiot impala shouting at his friends. I wonder if you can't get a shot of him, Senzo. I'm not going to move, but he's just over there on a sort of very low termite mound. Oh, this is wonderful. Look at him there. I imagine their sinuses must be extremely painful at the end of the breeding season. Let's just see if he does it again. Come on, give it to us again. I think he's hoping there'll be some ladies around, but I don't see any. Fully grown impala ram. Oh, let's just hope he gives that call again. I'll tell you that in the meantime the tortoise has taken the right hand fork in the road. You don't need to worry about him. Come on, give us another call. Let's just see what he does. Maybe we can induce him to call. No, I don't think I can induce him to do it. I just wanted you to see his... There, look. I mean, it is totally ridiculous. There he goes. Alright, we're going to have to move from here, otherwise we're not going to get any further shots. Let's head across to Baron, who has got some mongai.
Linking. Oh, look at this, everyone. We've got some dwarf mongoose just off to the side of the road. And they scattered into the bush, but I've come and I've sat down just in the road, not very far from them. I'm trying to see how, because they do get quite curious, and they seem to have relaxed. They alarm called a little bit, moved off, and then they all came out into the road, had a little look, and now they're just feeding. They're just in the long grass, just off to the side of the road. There's still one having a good look at me. Trying to see if more come out. Sometimes that sound gets them quite curious and they come and have a look. But I can hear them. They're just in the edge of the grass there. Probably trying to catch little insects. There, another one's popped out. A little bit closer to me, Craig, just off to the side. Come on, there we go. See? There. Can you see them sticking their heads out there? Come say hello. And just watching me very closely. Wow. All of a sudden, the bush has just come alive with them. Let's see if they come out. Come on, a little further. Just come out into the open for us. Look here, they're going to come out soon. There we go. Here comes another one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them at least. Here we go. Look at that. Just sitting quietly. They've all come to have a look at me. Isn't this amazing? This is really very special, something different. Just sitting quietly on the ground. And these little dwarf mongoose foraging around us. Wow. And the more I sit here, the more I see. Look at them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out in the open, and then there's just plenty of them out in the grass. Look at that little one. Can you see him coming closer to me? Oh, and there's some babies there too. There's some little ones jumping around. There, look, there's a baby. Can you see the baby? Yeah, look at that. Oh, wonderful. Well, they've completely relaxed now with me sitting out here in the open. Look, there's a baby. Watch, this little one's very curious now. Must be probably 5 meters or so from me. 6. 6 meters. And they're coming closer. They're all communicating with each other. I don't want to move now because they're completely trusting. Look how close they are. I'm just sitting on the opposite side of the road to them. Hello. Hello, little ones. Oh, this is really special. It's amazing how they've, from alarm calling a little bit to when I was first here, to now being completely relaxed and moving around, foraging very close to me. Look, yeah, this one's coming even closer. They're watching the car quite carefully. Oh, look, isn't this cool? This is very cool. Come on. The wonderful dwarf mongoose, very, very curious little animals. The whole family is around us at the moment. They might get quite cross with me if I try to stand up. Craig, if the ladies do want to link to anyone, just let me know and we can link. Oh, so one of them just gave an alarm call off into the grass. You see how the whole family just reacted. So one to the back gave an alarm call, may have seen something, but as soon as that alarm call came through, the whole family was on high alert, all stopped. Some ran back into the long grass and just had a look. I'm going to move away from here now. I'm going to stand up slowly. See, just as soon as I stood up, they gave a little alarm call again, and they're alarm calling at the moment. But when I was sitting still, completely comfortable and happy to be so close to me, that was wonderful. It was nice. Different experience. Hey, look at that. That was great. Very nice. We'll leave the dwarf mongoose to continue their day foraging for food. Now Taylor has got some mushrooms and dew.
We have got some dew at the moment, and we were just saying how beautiful dewdrops look on the grass. Don't you think that's absolutely spectacular? And something so small and innocent as well as grass. I think it's the prettiest when it is covered in dew, or when it is silhouetted with the sunset behind it. And well, luckily for us this morning, we've actually almost had both of them. But it's not just the grass and the dew that we've got. We have seen some fungi, some mushrooms sprouting out of some elephant dung. Isn't that cool? Aren't they so beautiful? Now my goal one day is to see an African land snail, of course, feeding on the fungi, or to see a tiny little frog sitting on top of one too, because I've obviously read many stories about fairies and things like that, and there's always frogs sitting on top of toadstools. Now I'd love to see something like that, but these guys are not particularly big, so whether they'd be able to bear the weight of a frog, I'm not so certain. They're quite small. And also remember, don't eat any mushrooms that you find out in the bush unless you are an expert, because it only takes one small mistake to eat something or eat a mushroom that's not edible, that contains horrible toxins, and you are going to not have a very fun time coming out of that. I know a person who has munched on a mushroom that wasn't too well and was violently ill. Can cause severe vomiting is one of the cases. I'm sure you'll break out into hot sweats, and well, after that I'm sure it'll just get only worse. Your body must feel like it'll be on fire. So be very, very careful, but also little bits of dew drops on top of these mushrooms too. And you can see how small and delicate they are, just how they are sort of moving in the gentle breeze. And there's barely even a breeze today, but they are very flimsy. Now, we need that African land snail. If I had one here, I would totally bring the snail here just so that I could see them eat the mushroom. That would be my favorite thing. But there's lots of them. There's actually, look how small these ones are. These ones are just starting to grow. Look at them. They're smaller than my...
Oh dear, it looks like we just lost some signal there from the others. That's okay. I'm driving, just checking the southern boundary again, just to see if there's any sign of one of those lions coming back up again. I think James had the one, he did cross south from my understanding. So just seeing, and then also I'm just having a look if there's any sign of those two young leopard cubs. Well, they're sub-adults now, they're not cubs. Shungile or Hosana. We'll see if they are around. I haven't seen them for quite some time. Some of the other guys have had a bit of luck finding them in the evenings, close to the Twin Dams area. Now all we need to do is find some elephant, and I'll be very, very happy. Oh, it was just a hornbill, but I think it caught something. Do you see it sitting up there, Craig? It looked like it had caught an insect. Now that's a young hornbill. You see that beak hasn't quite changed color yet. I think it's a young yellow-billed hornbill. But yeah, it hasn't reached adult plumage at all. It did catch a little insect on the ground. William, there are a number of woodpeckers in this area. You asked, are there any woodpeckers? There are indeed. Now we get some of the ones that we see quite regularly around here are the bearded woodpecker, the Bennett's woodpecker, the cardinal woodpecker, and the golden-tailed woodpecker. Those are four that we tend to see quite often in this area. But now I've just spotted a beautiful large antelope just off to our left. Lovely big male waterbuck. Beautiful big horns on him. Wow, he is a prime specimen. I think it was yesterday Taylor was chatting about reindeer and the difference between deer and antelope, and I think the antelope, to me, that looks more like a deer than anything else would be the waterbuck. I don't know, they just I'm just going to move forward a little bit. They just appear deer-like, don't they? I don't know, maybe it's the slightly shaggy coat, or I mean, if they look a little bit larger. The horns, I don't know. What do you all think? Do you think I've lost my mind completely, or do you think it does look deer-like or reindeer-like? I suppose just without the antlers. And that's for those of you who are fairly new viewers. The difference between antelope and deer is that the antelope have horns which grow throughout their lifetime, just like this waterbuck. However, if they break, they do not grow back. Whereas a deer, they have got antlers, and those are shed annually. And as those are shed, they then grow back the next year, and sometimes a lot larger than the year before. So that's one of the main differences between antelope and deer. Now from sharp horns to some sharp tusks with James.